Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nerdy Jock Podcast presents Dragon Ball Z Megapod. This is my co-host DK, who did teach the Ginyu Squad, Ginyu Forces, all of their special techniques.
And this is the Nerdy Jock, Kevin Ketchum, rhymes with doom.
Rick Hoom, coming for you. Yeah, our energy's a little bit different today. We're currently recording this on March 8th. One day after we all found out about the unfortunate passing of Akira Toriyama on March 1st.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, this last 24 hours has been kind of like tough on basically the entire world of Dragon Ball fandom or anyone that has any relation to his projects.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just targeted account ads or anything like that, but I haven't seen this level of an outpouring of love for a lost talent or dead celebrity for anybody, not even for David Bowie. And I mean, David Bowie, just monumental. But again, it could just be the filter of the type of content that I personally look at. But, you know, there was something that we touched on in the very first episode about this, about just how many different types of lives Toriyama touched with his work, particularly with Dragon Ball, from people who got into working out because of it, people who started taking martial arts because of it, or people, you know, just got through really hard. You hear stories about people who went through really tough cancer treatments, and it was watching, you know, the Frieza saga every day on Toonami that helped them get through that. And I mean, it's been less than 24 hours since I found out, and I haven't even begun to fully process it yet.
Yeah.
Just the breadth of how much this man touched, not just manga, but the world. I mean, but in particular, shonen storytelling, you know, anybody out there who has a love for One Piece, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, anything post Toriyama was in some way inspired by Toriyama.
Yeah, I mean, you could see his footprint all over anime, manga, even you know, video games. His huge presence in the video game world.
Right.
I mean, growing up, you know, I played a lot of video games too, and you know, Secret of Mana was one of my brother and one of our favorite games, and that was designs by Akira Toriyama. You know, that spiky hair, that's unique and one of a kind, and that only comes from him. You know, Dragon Quest as well.
Dragon Quest, yeah, that's
huge series.
I remember. I don't think I had access to the earlier games, but Dragon Quest 7 on PlayStation 1, I remember my older brother and I had, and I just remember looking at the art and being like, oh yeah, that's the Dragon Ball guy.
Yeah, I
mean, he's got that distinct style. I mean, you just can't miss it.
It's his own. He's uniquely fantastic in his designs and in his humor, in his characters. I mean, you know it when you see it. It's his. I mean, Chrono Trigger as well, another game that came out after Secret of Mana, which is another popular.
Arguably, I mean, some people put it above Final Fantasy VII as like the best JRPG ever.
It's up there with even Legend of Zelda, you know.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I've never played it. I just didn't have access to it back in the day for whatever reason. I wish that PlayStation 5 would just release a port of it.
Right. Well, no, they do have on PlayStation Plus. They do have Secret of Mana port right now that they re-released from PlayStation 4.
Oh, great!
I just downloaded it like the other day, like a month ago. So, I mean, just to go back on topic though, like I mean, that's what I'm saying. We could go on forever, and that's kind of what this podcast was made for. We had no idea, you know, he was going to pass.
Right.
We started shooting this podcast in January, like
very soon after the new year.
In the new year.
Yeah, 2024, January, we started shooting it very soon after the new year. I mean, obviously nobody had any idea. He was 68?
Yeah, he's a young guy.
I mean, the cast is older than him. I mean, Masako Nozawa, Mayumi Tanaka, Toshio Furukawa, they're all older than he is. Yeah. I mean, he's very, very young. It seems like the cause of death too was something, you know, kind of not necessarily natural. A brain hemorrhage of some kind.
Hematoma, yeah. It's kind of hard to deal with that, I guess, you know.
Yeah, it's scary and it happens, but you know, because we don't really have the words to process this, and everybody's been processing it at their own rate as well, we thought it would be cool to do something just as a minor thing, just talk about a couple of the items that we have on the table here today. So, Kevin, I want you to talk about your little clay Goku right there.
I'm getting emotional here now. I've got goosebumps. So I've been a Dragon Ball fan. Like you said, if you're in episode 7 or 8. This is 8 now, actually. So we've done 7 episodes. If you remember the first one, I talk a little bit about this briefly and how I've been a fan since I was, a kid, like 10 years old. And in elementary school, they had an art class. They let us use kilns, and everyone was making pottery and different kinds of bowls or cups. And I told the teacher I wanted to make a Goku figure. So if you can see this guy right here, I made this Goku figure. I mean, he looks a little deformed, but it's the best I could do as like a 10 or 11-year-old boy.
For 10 or 11, if this was your first time working with ceramics, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, first time with ceramics. I mean, there's a couple of broken parts, but like I still carry it around. It's in my house to this day. It's like on my shelf. It's my most important figure I have, and it took a lot of work, a lot of man hours, but it's still with me to this day, and I just turned 40. So like it means a lot to me, and he's left an impression on my life and pretty much anyone, it seems like, who has ever watched Dragon Ball.
I don't have them anymore, but when I became a Dragon Ball Z fan, it was at a time when there were no Dragon Ball Z toys.
Yeah.
There was a brief run of Dragon Ball toys when Funimation thought, oh, we'll do Dragon Ball, and then they gave up and did Z, but they were no longer in circulation. Mm-hmm. So on the VHS tapes, where it was the Funimation produced Ocean Dub Dragon Ball episodes, they would advertise these toys that would no longer existed. And I remember I tried to make a Goku toy out of wood, and it ended up looking a lot crappier than that because I was working with power wood tools, and I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I don't know why my dad let me do it. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
Dangerous, but
I was just like, and I went through so many little blocks of wood just trying to get it right, just because I wanted so badly a Dragon Ball toy. And then I remember at a flea market, there was like somebody sold one of those like pirated Dragon Ball GT toy sets where like they have like AK-47s or something. And I was so overjoyed when I saw that because there was no official Dragon Ball Z merchandise that you could buy. I want to
tell me more about this.
Briefly talk about this. Yeah, so when I was in college, I worked at a group home for kids ages 9 to 14. And, it was a really special job. I think it was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. And like I, at the time, was training and competing in Kung Fu. And so I taught a lot of the kids Kung Fu exercises and stuff like that. And then they taught me how to skateboard. We did this cool little exchange. And one of the kids, he took this little chicken piggy bank because I introduced them to Dragon Ball Z too. I actually made them watch it subtitled. Which they were very annoyed about because, again, 9 to 14-year-olds, nobody wants to read subtitles.
Right.
But then they switched it at one point without me knowing to the dub, and they were already so used to the sub. They're like, you know what? No, I don't like Gohan's voice, and they switched it right back. Yeah. And so that place ended up closing. It was very, very sad. It ended up closing. We all scattered to the wind, but one of the kids got this chicken piggy bank and made a little Goku chicken piggy bank, and I've been carrying this with me for over 26 years now. So,
it's like 30 years, 26 years.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not that old. Wait,
not that old.
16 years. Yeah.
But we've had it for a long time, and hopefully it never breaks or I don't lose it. I'll keep it close and cherish it just like I cherish the work Akira Toriyama has done and given us to the world. And I just want to, wish his soul best eternal life in the next world,
Right. And hopefully he's training with King Kai right now. And I don't mean to sound glib. I mean, I'm not trying to do a bit. No. Again, I haven't even really processed it. Like, I'm a full-time dad right now, and I'm just, I've got a 4-year-old and just, But you know what I did today? Because he really likes Goku, and I've shown him some Dragon Ball, is I read to him some of the more age-appropriate chapters of that first Tankobon collection.
The original Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I skipped all the perverted stuff.
Bulma, Bloomer, stuff like that.
All the Bulma stuff, yeah. Skipped all that, but and he really enjoyed it. It was a fun experience sharing this thing that you love with your kids and stuff like that. And I've seen so much of that in the last 24 hours from people. So anyway, we're gonna chug along, continue to honor this amazing story that Toriyama gave us.
Yeah, I mean, this is for him, I guess. I mean, it wasn't originally, but
Right.
It's we do this to honor his legacy. Now, I mean, we did it because we love it, and we're just continuing it because it makes us happy, and we're just thankful that Akira gave us this happiness.
Right.
Dragon Ball. So
Well said.
yeah, and in the future we're probably going to talk a little bit more about this stuff once we process it. It's just like it just hit like a freight train, and we didn't know what we're going to say. We didn't even have a proper introduction. We're like, what do we have to do now? Because we haven't released the first episode yet while we're shooting this.
Yeah,
So,
a little inside baseball. We're talking about recording these peppy introductions to the pod because we haven't, at the point of this record, we haven't released anything.
yeah,
And now we're just like, well, now what the hell do we do?
Yeah, because I said, hey, we want to release episode 1 this week, but at the same time, and I know you guys don't want to hear all this, but just a quick tangent is that we were like, man, we should release it this week. And 3 days ago, I was texting Dan, I was like, yeah, let's do like a cool, fun, yeah, welcome to the Dragon
We got
Ball
a phone
pod.
call. We were excited about it. We were talking about it. And then 2 hours later, it was just like,
Boom.
yeah, the world changed
So-
and plans changed.
That's not going to happen, obviously, like that. So we're just thankful to have had Dragon Ball Z in our life. So
Yeah.
we're going to hop into this episode now. So prayers out to his family and, pretty much everyone who's mourning the loss of Akira Toriyama.
The whole cast, everybody at Toei who worked closely with him, everybody at Square Enix that worked close to him, just everybody, and all the amazing people, Oda, Kishimoto, everybody that was inspired by him, the new guard, as it were, the ones holding it down now. Yeah,
And they're doing a great job too, by the way. And it's like I felt like, as much as this is depressing and kind of a sad point, like I do feel confident that like they're in pretty good hands. I do feel like it's going to be helmed. However, Dragon Ball goes forward in the future with Daima coming out this fall, and then obviously they're going to finish up Super, wrap it up to bring it back to Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Super seems pretty close. You were saying to being wrapped up.
I did read some articles from Toriyama pretty recently, and he was talking like they pretty much have it all planned, from what I can tell, for a resolution to ending Super, that they're pretty much done with that, and they're going to be moving on back to the ending of Z with Oob and him fighting and going off in the sunset as the true ending for Dragon Ball after Super. So, it looks like it is in good hands. So if there's anything to take away, that's a positive. Just take away that, it's being shepherded with love and care.
Yeah, I don't, and there are rumors, unconfirmed, so I don't want to fan these if they're not true. But I mean, I believe, I just have a feeling that at some point in the next few years, Toei is probably going to start remaking a new Dragon Ball anime from the old material.
Oh, like One Piece is redoing with Netflix.
Yeah, or like Rurouni Kenshin is doing right now, or Hunter x Hunter did in 2011.
A Trigun did a thing similar to that too. Or is that just a sequel?
Oh, yeah. No, that was a remake too.
A remake on Netflix, right?
Yeah. Not on Netflix. That was on Crunchyroll too.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's just becoming in vogue to do that. And hey, like, no disrespect at all to the original cast. They're amazing. I love them. To me, they will always be the voices of the characters. But, as Toriyama Sensei has just shown us too, time comes for us all. It does not wait for a guy who made a timeless story, laughing in the face of death with magical orbs that could bring you back to life.
Yeah.
Time claims us all eventually, and there is a reality that the actors, the Japanese cast in particular, they're getting up there in age.
They are.
I believe Masako Nozawa is 90, if not pushing 90, and going strong. I mean, they're going to have to keep it going somehow with a new cast or something.
Right.
So,
but fingers crossed that they can continue to do the great work they've done so far for Dragon Ball.
and if they make a new anime that looks like the intro to Dragon Ball Superhero, that animated section, you remember, that just looked so much like the manga, but the animation was incredible, I would be 100% watching that.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I mean, in a positive note, let's do a little quick side tangent here. Let's turn away from that from the death and just talk about how like there is potential with Super because where they left it, they have quite a bit of material to animate.
Oh yeah,
from the manga.
They won't need to do any filler at this point.
No.
They've been going, 7 years without anime,
and it's actually the manga looks really cool. I mean, I haven't read it all, but I've read some synopsises, and I'm gonna get it eventually and read it all at once.
Right.
But from what I've read and seen from the Super, it's pretty great. And I'm kind of got my fingers crossed that they are giving it the One Piece treatment, where they're gonna say, "Hey, we're gonna take our time, and we're gonna or Demon Slayer treatment." Sorry, like Demon Slayer.
Sure.
Like, hey, we're gonna do whatever we got to do to make every episode count. Obviously, Demon Slayer does like 13 episodes a season or 10 episodes a season.
I mean, anime in general, I feel, has improved switching to a season model versus a year-round model.
Right.
Yeah.
But but here, okay, this is just another theory. But I do theorize that they haven't started animating Dragon Ball Super yet, not just because of Daima and other projects they're working on, but I think they're gonna really wait, spend the money they need to do, and just finish Super out in just beautiful animated fashion. I
hope so.
But I hope so.
I would love to see Shintani directing, like he did. For those of you who don't know, he was the animation director for Dragon Ball Super Broly. That art style, it was so animation friendly and just so crisp and rubbery and fun and stuff like that. And he's a One Piece guy.
Yeah.
And Toei's got such talent at One Piece. I mean, no disrespect to Tadayoshi Yamamuro,
right?
But the schedule and the way that things had to be done with Super, a lot of fans have pointed out how clunky the animation in Super looks through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And Tadayoshi Yamamuro is, notorious for correcting everybody's animation too, which also can slow things down. And he likes to put so much detail into things, which isn't super animation friendly. But, the way that One Piece just went through a huge animation revolution about a month ago, I could first see Toei, like you said, just throwing a bunch of giants at Super and just finishing it, doing Moro, Granola, all that stuff in style.
Beautiful style. I mean, even at the end of the Tournament of Power in Super, if you've seen the anime version of that, and not just the manga, there's some beautiful animation in the Tournament of Power.
They brought in some heavy hitter animators there. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell, I don't have the names off my head, obviously, but that was some great animated shows. And I was like, dude, this is great. If they can keep that level just constantly through the end of Super, then I'll be a very happy man.
I have such a terrible memory for their names too, but I know one of the guys who did so much of the battle with Jiren, he's been animating since Dragon Ball.
Wow.
And you look at his reel, he does all this amazing animation during the tournament with Piccolo, like the first time Yamcha does Sokidan, and he whips it around, and when he's fighting Kami and stuff, he did that. Yeah, he's still animating.
He's still animator for Dragon Ball Z from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 40 years later,
40 years later. So, keep it up, man. You guys are killing it, and we're just glad to be able to do this, and honor it. But let's transition now. Does that sound like a good time to transition?
I think so.
Yeah. Love you and wish the best. So this episode, we're covering episodes 57 through 77. Some of this we're not going to go in super heavy detail because a couple are fillers, and some of them will go in a little more detail than others. But we're just going to start an intro here. And if you remember last episode 56, Gohan, Krillin, Vegeta are finally connected, and stuff's about to go down. So basically, Vegeta manages to escape the clutches of Frieza. He takes the Dragon Balls, and this is where some shenanigans are happening again, because now they're just all plotting like, hey, let's get the balls however we can, and they're all kind of double-crossing each other.
Right.
Krillin returns to Bulma with the Dragon Ball he received from Guru. So Frieza has 5 Dragon Balls, Krillin has 1 Dragon Ball he just brought back to Bulma, and then I think, who has the last one?
Gohan is out looking for it. Yeah.
Gohan is looking for the one that's underwater that Vegeta hid when he first got to Namek and found that first ball. And that's actually the 4-star Dragon Ball, which we'll talk about in a second here too. Kind of a cool little moment.
Yeah.
But he brings those back, and then he got that from Guru, and he's quickly found by both Vegeta and Frieza's minions, Zarbon. So basically, Krillin gets back to the base with Bulma. he says, "Oh, I got the ball," and literally 10 seconds later, Vegeta followed him there, and then guess who followed Vegeta? Zarbon, who is on a mission from Frieza to get Vegeta and get that next to last ball that they think they need to have.
Right. And Bulma, right off the bat, super thirsty for Zarbon.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like Bulma. We had joked about this in the past, but this is a running gag. Or Bulma, you know what? We respect your family life and your private life, and you do whatever. You know, I guess when they hook up in the future, Vegeta and Bulma do. She has a thing for bad guys. What can we say, right?
She does, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Well, actually, Yamcha, too. She likes just guys.
The first dude that we ever saw her drool over, lest we forget, in Dragon Ball was Oolong, when he transformed into that mustache guy.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, she kind of simps. She simps for handsome dudes.
Does.
And let's be real, like, Zarbon's a snack. He's a handsome guy.
Handsome-looking guy.
Yeah.
You know, great blue skin, great green hair. You
Right.
know, he's a very handsome-looking guy. Great jawline.
Great like 80s kind of hair metal guitarist
Exactly.
style.
Yep.
Yeah.
A mix of Fabio as well. You know, if you mixed that with Fabio, you might get Zarbon.
Totally,
you know?
totally.
So she's crushing on Zarbon right there in front of him, and then she's like, "Oh, Krillin, can you hook me with this guy?" And Krillin's basically like, "Dude, these guys are trying to kill us. Where's your head at?" And she's just like, "Well, I've been stuck here bored for the last." Feels like months, but it's only been like a week or so. But poor Ball's been stuck away, which she has a whole nother episode coming up here. But
I think over a month total, if you include the trip to Namek, right?
Namek.
Yeah.
So she's getting a little feisty there. Now, so Vegeta, remember, he's recently recovered from being beaten to snot before,
right?
And Zarbon beat him easily last time. They put him in the chamber, the Bacta tank, as we like to give a shout out to Star Wars, in the Bacta tank, and now he's back again. But Vegeta, near death, obviously gets stronger, right?
Right. Which Zarbon doesn't know about.
Yeah.
They're still very ignorant about the powers of Saiyans post genocide,
right?
And so Zarbon turns into a monster. Bulma's instantly like, never mind, I don't like this guy anymore.
He kind of reminds me of a Ninja Turtle too. In his transform.
You've said that too. Yeah, he does kind of look like a Ninja Turtle. But this time he's no match for Vegeta. Vegeta just like, punches a hole through his chest.
Just one. And it was pretty impressive. He just said, you know what? It says there's, the people say it's a long drawn about it. I watched this scene recently. It was like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
They did a couple punches down low, flew in the air, couple punches of the air, and then boom, land back. And then Vegeta just punches his gut right through his armor. Purple blood is just spewing out of his guts. And Zarbon's, oh man, he knows he's defeated, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And does he do the same thing that Kiwi and Dodoria did, where he's like, "Hey, I've got an idea. Now that I'm at death's door, why don't we team up against Frieza?"
Yeah, he does. Well, hey, it's a last ditch. Hopefully, you can save my life, even though your fist is Indiana Jones and Temple of Dooming me right now, right through the middle of it.
It's like, hey, I swear I could help you defeat Frieza, who's so much stronger than all of us.
And then Vegeta says, "Yep, I'll see you in hell," basically, and it just blows him
like
the fuck
blast,
up.
like a point blank Big Bang attack almost. Just
So Vegeta still got his edge, and
and he's got such a high from killing Zarbon. He's like, "I'm not even gonna kill you," or things like, "Just give me the Dragon Balls," and that's it.
Yeah, and he doesn't though. Actually, Krillin gives him the Dragon Ball, and then Vegeta's like, "Yep, I'm on my merry way." I'm like, wow.
It's like I'll see you back on Earth when I come and kill you all later.
It's like, well, hold on to that one.
Which is convenient. Which then transitions into episode 58.
Yeah.
So as we've pointed out in previous episodes, and as he just pointed out, Frieza, now no longer being able to rely on the skeleton crew that he has on Namek, has summoned the Ginyu Force, and they're on their way to planet Namek. Gohan is out in search of a Dragon Ball with the Dragon Scouter,
right?
That is from a village that Vegeta basically just wiped out, and killed every single person in a few episodes before. So those are sort of the moving pieces there. And now Frieza's starting to realize Zarbon hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
He's been gone a long time. I mean, at this point though, knowing that they can't sense energy, that's kind of unremarkable. Right. I don't even know how they find their way back to the spaceship on a planet that looks exactly the same, no matter where you are, and has 2 suns, so it's always daytime. Like, how the heck Vegeta...
Yeah.
I mean, Vegeta's a mathematical genius, because he's able to figure out where he threw his Dragon Balls, even.
Vegeta, he's like, well, look at that tree right now, the lollipop tree, with that sun at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is if my calculations are correct, it should be that way.
It's like, if this ball flies at 300 miles per hour north, blah, 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 then the sun should be in this exact position by the time that
So my Dragon Ball's right there. Yeah.
I mean, just the powers of perception that these characters have is incredible. But and Frieza's able to deduce. It's not just, Zarbon got lost on this completely, uniform planet, where everything looks the same. Maybe Zarbon is dead or something like that.
They mention is like, I think Frieza does say, actually, in Japanese version, he says like 2 or 3 hours. He's like, it's been a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
I think he does actually give a time.
And I appreciate that even though he's the emperor of the universe and even though he describes Earth in derogatory terms, that he still uses our units of measurement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all about it.
I appreciate the Gregorians. I don't know if they invented the minute, second, hour part of the whole Gregorian calendar thing, but whoever invented that, it works pretty well. Anyway, so Gohan gets the Dragon Ball. He finds it in the water and he's excited. He's going back to deliver it to Krillin and Bulma, and that's when Vegeta senses him. Now, this is an iconic scene, very, very tense, because, like the last time Gohan saw Vegeta, Gohan almost killed Vegeta. Yeah. He was an Ozaru. He almost crushed him to death. And, he's obviously Kakarot's son. Yeah. There's so much tension here. And Gohan also hasn't had his powers unlocked yet. Right. He's vulnerable. He's a 5-year-old boy. Yeah. Contending with one of the biggest threats that we've ever seen in the show. And
might I just add to what you said, which is a brilliant explanation. I mean, there's literally a little rock here. Vegeta's, you can't, if you're listening to the pod, then watch the YouTube video, because I'm going to do a quick breakdown here.
He's simulating a rock with his hands.
Exactly. He's behind a rock. He hides a Dragon Ball, maybe like 2 feet behind him. Right. And Vegeta's on the other side of that, looking for the ball. And Vegeta, in all of his grace and love and compassion right now, is like, surprised you. He's not very shocked to see Gohan. I'm pretty
right. Well, I mean, he has seen Krillin and Bulma already, so it's not entirely foreign that the Earthlings have found their way to Namek. But
his passion to kill him is not as strong as you would think, judging by the last time they met on Earth.
Because he thinks he has all 7 Dragon Balls. He's like, I'm just gonna get this last one, and then I'm good. So he's super happy.
Ever cocky, ever arrogant, Vegeta. Love him.
Yeah, there's the creepy thing. He does like a little face caress of Gohan. He's like, we're the last of our kind, boy. He's caressing his face. And I love the DB abridged joke. It's like, I need an adult. I am an adult for that thing. And then just delivers like this gut-destroying kick to his stomach. Just puts him in his place without killing him. Yeah, this 5-year-old boy. After he sees the Dragon Ball Scouter, and Gohan is being super sus about it. He hides it. He's like, it's just a clock. Yeah, and he's like, so a species capable of interstellar travel couldn't come up with a clock smaller than that thing.
He makes that joke. Yeah, Vegeta makes that joke.
Yeah, and then he's just like, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's nothing. I mean, I would be, if I were Vegeta, I would absolutely be suspicious that, these guys have lived with Dragon Balls their whole lives. They know how to find them in some way. Why did they send a 5-year-old out by himself?
He's alone, yes. That's the most important part. Gohan is alone. So you got to think, what the hell is going on? Vegeta, you're smarter than that.
Right.
Come on.
Totally.
Yeah, you know how to calculate where the Dragon Balls are in relation to the 3 suns and the moons in the sky in Namek at all times.
Right.
You should know that. If
he's coming from the location where you are going, where the last Dragon Ball has been hidden.
I know.
Yeah. So, but Vegeta, he's so high right now off of his own victory. He kind of just lets it pass. Gohan is able to get away. He gets back to everybody and is like, okay, now we gotta get the hell out of here because Vegeta's gonna come back and he's gonna murder us all. And this also leads to one of the most iconic and memed scenes in all of Dragon Ball Z in terms of the dub, which is when Vegeta goes to look for the ball underwater and it's just not there. And when he realizes, he puts the pieces together that Gohan had a locator, was able to do it. And then we have the very famous crazy animation where he explodes out of the water, just looks so pissed off.
His eyes are like this.
His eyes have veins.
His eyes have red veins.
And he just looks so mad, and it's what in the fandom, in the dub anyway, we call the Vegeta's Wrath scene. Because that iconic performance of the "You won't escape my wrath."
And I love that. I love that moment too. Actually, it's a really cool moment.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, being a kid, I remember like it actually. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like they're in trouble now.
No.
Yeah.
All I know is in the world of Dragon Ball, when you see them underwater and water shoots up really suddenly 300 to 400 feet in the air, you know some shit's about to go down.
Yeah, their anger made water shoot up 300 feet in the air. You know that there's a shitstorm about to hit.
He's like, Moses doesn't have nothing on me. Spread this water. And he flies up. So pretty cool episode.
So, and it concludes with Bulma moving camp, and Krillin is like, okay, if we're going to fucking contend with Vegeta, you got to come with me to meet the Elder Namek, or Guru, if you will, because he's got to unlock your power.
Right.
And they have to fly slowly, too, so that Vegeta can't sense them. And Vegeta just sits with his Dragon Balls, just kind of meditating, sleeping, just waiting to pick up a signal of somebody. It's like, well, the second they move, I'm going to be able to find them.
I'll get it.
And yeah, I mean, so we got a bunch of stuff happening now.
One more thing about that episode that I want to add on that we didn't quite hit is, meanwhile, in the Capsule Corps ship, Goku is training at 100 times G's right now.
Right,
okay?
yeah.
So I think he had been at 50, 80, and now he's like at 100. And it hasn't been the safest route for him. It would kind of happen by accident. 100 G's is too much for that Capsule Corp ship to handle.
And the filler, he flies through like a magnetic storm, right?
Exactly.
And he's hanging upside down.
And he's being swung back and forth like a pendulum, basically.
Right.
His ankles are tied to the top of the ship, and he's being swung around, and it is nuts. But I always love, like I said before, I always love watching these little moments, even if it's like maybe a minute and a half or even 30 seconds of a quick, brief cut of Goku doing his thing up in training. I was like, that's impressive. Because we will get this a little bit later in a couple more episodes, but I think it does have actual significance, not just like a number. I do think him training at 100 times gravity does help him get to a special level, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit.
Totally.
Okay.
And you mentioned too, one thing we forgot to touch on is that the ball that Gohan stole from Vegeta, what is the Namekian 4-star?
Which, obviously that's famous if you're
That's
watching this.
That's literally Son Gohan, the grandpa's Dragon Ball that he gives to Goku. So
Gohan has Gohan's ball, but the Namekian
the Namekian version, yeah.
Which I thought was a cute little touch that obviously didn't have to do that, but they did. I think it was pronounced Sun Kui Ji in Japanese or something. No, you know what? Don't even quote me.
They try to pronounce it with a Chinese name.
Yeah.
I forget what it is too, but anyways, cool that he gets it.
Cool little extra thing there. Okay. Now we're gonna hit up episode 59, guys. We're almost to 60. Wow, we are just trucking through this series.
Right.
This one is called Destination Guru. While Krillin and Gohan fly off to see Guru, they leave their one Dragon Ball hidden back at the camp with Bulma. But when the Dragon Ball mysteriously disappears, Bulma must embark on a daring underwater adventure to get it back.
I think we talked about for 59 and 60, we're just going to blow past these because they are just filler.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a quick, put 3 minutes on the clock, Dan?
I'd say you could do it in 2.
Okay.
Go.
2 minutes. Okay. So Destination Guru and the next episode, episode 60, Bulma's Big Day in the uncut versions, Japanese, are basically Bulma being foolish. She loses the Dragon Ball. It goes into a huge lake. And it was like, it's a very classic, Charlie Chaplin-esque kind of situation where one awkward situation leads to another. The Dragon Ball falls off a cliff underwater. She gets in a capsule, goes underwater to get it. The Loch Ness Monster. It seems to have one on Planet Namek. It has got lodged. The Dragon Balls got lodged in its back spine or shells or whatever its dorsal fin area, and so it goes off underwater, and then it drops off, and then it goes down another Mariana Trench sized trench, just really deep. I'm talking thousands of feet. Huge lake here. Pardon me. Huge lake there, and then it goes, and then it rolls down, and there happens to be a clam with an oyster. So she sees clam with a pearl. So she's like, do I get the Dragon Ball or do I get the pearl? You guys know Bulma.
Oh, no, she's blinded by her greed.
Yeah, what do you think she does? Of course, she goes for the pearl. Though
she's from literally the richest family in the world.
In Dragon Ball world.
Yeah,
Yes.
the briefs are like if Bezos and the Musks married together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they own Apple, basically. You know, like they have infinite amounts of
They
money.
own Apple, Amazon, Tesla,
Google, yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
They are an antitrust nightmare, that family.
And that's
Yeah.
how they got that rich, is
Yeah.
that they are willing to abandon the hope of humanity in order to pursue their riches.
Yeah, so she goes after that, pulls it up, and then it causes a drain underwater again, and then she goes to another layer down to like the lowest depths of this place. A crab, you know, she finds a huge ginormous crab. The Dragon Ball gets caught in the back with all the other baby crabs. The baby crabs hacks. She gets away. Boom, boom, boom. And that leads right into episode 60, Bulma's Big Day, where Frieza sends two of his henchmen off to capture Bulma. They get her, bring her back with the Dragon Ball, and she says, "Oh, there's more Dragon Balls underwater." And literally exactly what happened in the last episode re-happens again, but with two henchmen of Frieza until they are killed by a crab.
Yeah, she just leads them to the crabs,
Yeah, to
has
the
the
crab.
crabs do her dirty work, gets the Dragon Ball back, and then reset.
She's alive. And at that point, Grillin.
Grillin'. Hey guys, want some hot dogs?
That's what I should call her now. Gohan and Krillin is Grillin. And we should just say, hey, they're Grillin. When it's those two together, it's going to be Grillin, you know?
Totally.
They get two gurus. And that's it. Now we're to 61. And 61 is a really cool episode, and it has some cool things we need to talk about, actually.
Right.
Do you want to start this one?
Yeah, so Gohan, Krillin, and Dende continue to the Elder Namek's hut, but they have to go a little bit faster. Is the reason why that he's about to die, or what's the reason again?
All the above. Vegeta's hot on their trail.
Vegeta, so they start flying fast. Vegeta can sense them,
Right.
so he starts flying towards them. Dende's trying to get Gohan to get powered up as quickly as he possibly can, and Krillin stays behind. He's like, I'm gonna quickly slow Vegeta down, in order to prevent you from killing Gohan before his powers awaken. Because fingers crossed, hopefully with Gohan's power awaken, he's strong enough to defeat Vegeta, or at least contend against him in some way. Goku finishes his training. He tests out his new abilities. He does the little famous like rock throw and catch.
Okay, let's actually talk about that. I love this scene.
Yeah.
I really do. I love this scene.
Oh, it's great.
I was smiling. I watched this 2 days ago, and I was smiling the whole time because he does a couple things. I think it's in this episode too.
Where he like bounces on his head.
Well, not even that one. He powers up like Kaioken times 10, and then he does a Kamehameha, and then he shoots it one way, and then he turns around the other way, and then like he lets this huge ki blast like hit him in the chest to see what happened. Like, dude, I was like, you have no fear of this Capsule Corp ship exploding at all.
I know, yeah.
I was like, are you crazy? You can't breathe in outer space, Goku. I mean, obviously it's a cartoon. I shouldn't be that invested in the science of the situation, but like it was just
It's very precarious. It's a very confined space. We've seen what these ki blasts can do in an open space. I mean, they cause massive destruction. At this point, like hydrogen bomb levels of destruction.
Exactly.
And he's like, yeah, I can control this. I can 10 times my power, shoot this thing at me, have it perfectly wrap around this tiny confined space and explode upon me without totally rupturing the hull of the ship and sending me into the vacuum of space.
Because I don't even think he's done a times 10 Kaioken and a Kamehameha at the same time.
No.
I think he's done like a times 5 maybe against Vegeta, something like that, 3 or 5. But he's never done a times 10 at all. He's like, oh, I can do it.
At this point, we've seen him maximum go up to 4.
Right.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So he's just like, throw all the caution out the wind. Let's just be stupid. But, you know, Goku does as Goku does. But it's still a really cool scene. And it's funny because he's like, gets hit. He's like, ah! And he does this, you know, his famous Goku voice in the Japanese, like, ah!
Yeah.
And he gets hit. He's like, ah! He's like, oh, I should have done that, but I feel good. So
he eats a sensu bean.
Yeah.
He gets super happy. He throws a rock. He catches it. That's all he needs to know to see how strong he is. And he starts beating on his chest, flapping his hands, bouncing on his head. He's just really happy. He's like, dang, I got so much stronger. And that's what he loves more than anything. He just loves getting stronger.
I mean, and I love watching that. You know, it motivates me. You know, here to pump you up.
Totally.
But, one more thing I want to add about that. I'm watching the Japanese language version of this one. In the subtitles, in the Japanese version, the narrator who's voicing it over, he mentions that even the Goku doesn't realize how powerful he has become that he has surpassed the limits of a normal Saiyan, or for strength, or any Saiyan basically at this point. And after watching this show a couple times, I don't think it's a coincidence that he does say this in the voiceover, because from this point on, from episode 61, 62, when Goku starts getting involved on Namek, you are going to see, it gets growing and growing, the myth of the Super Saiyan and stuff. And so I do think it's important because, every other time Goku's powered up, it's just been like, oh, he has a new move, Kaioken, and he's powered up. Oh, Gohan's stronger. They start making subtle differences and saying, actually, Goku, he's stronger, but he's different. So this is the first time you really start to get like a less subtle, hey, there's something different about him in his spirit, his ki, his energy, not just his strength and overall power, but his kind of presence is starting to change too.
Yeah, I think when he arrives later, and we can touch on it then, that Krillin literally asks him, are you really Goku?
Right.
Like who are you? Are you really Goku? Because he kind of he develops some mystical abilities too.
Yeah.
Like he can read Krillin's mind.
Yes.
He can just by putting his hand on Krillin's head, he can see everything that they've been through on Namek.
And that comes out of nowhere, which we'll talk about.
And it never comes back. It's a very useful power that he never uses ever again.
Right. No. Okay.
What happened?
Okay. So continuing. So
Gohan gets his power awakened by the Elder Namek. Krillin is able to stall Vegeta just long enough. Nail comes out, which at this point, I believe Nail is still stronger than Vegeta. Vegeta might be grandstanding, but just based on power levels, I believe that Nail is around 42,000 and Vegeta is in the high 30s.
Oh, wow.
So Vegeta could put up a fight for sure, but in terms of raw power, I think Nail is the actual strongest. But Vegeta senses another power inside, and he's like, "Oh, that must be Kakarot, because that's about as strong as Kakarot should feel based on our fight at Earth." He's like, "Come out of here, Kakarot!" Blah blah blah, and then who emerges from the hut but Gohan?
Gohan, and Gohan is super strong. I mean, so they say, because Guru is very surprised in how much hidden potential he seems to have unlocked.
Right.
Usually with Krillin it was like, "Oh wow, you could be a little bit stronger,"
Right.
With Gohan, he's like, whoa.
And from a top-down perspective, because we have a bird's eye view of all of Dragon Ball, this isn't the only time Gohan is going to have his inner power awaken in Dragon Ball. And the way that I guess we can think about it so that it doesn't seem kind of too strange is when you're playing a video game, when you have multiple kinds of skill trees, there's always like the one tree that you unlock, and then there's just paths to go from there.
Right.
And that the Elder Namek is able to unlock one skill tree's worth of power in him, and then later the Kaioshins unlock another.
Right.
Maybe you could say that what happens with Android 16 unlocks a different one.
Yeah, that's true
or
too.
Something. Although that
Super Saiyan 2.
Although that is a level that everybody else does achieve. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely his power is impressive. What he's able to unlock. You mentioned the Super Saiyan thing because this is going to become a theme moving forward. But lest we forget, the very first mention of the term Super Saiyan was, I believe, in episode 6. When Vegeta and Nappa are talking while they're eating those bug people they just massacred. And Vegeta makes a comment, maybe when Saiyans and Earthlings have children, they are Super Saiyans.
Yeah. And we will learn that Vegeta's not far off in his, he's a very smart guy. He knows about biology and procreation and the skills and traits.
He knows about calculus, how to throw a ball and how to find it.
where things are in the sky. So he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Except for when he's up against Gohan, who with one line lets him know that it's a clock and not a dragon radar.
If he's too happy at his own victory, if he's counting his chickens before they hatch, he has a blind spot for sure. So there's this tense standoff between all of them, and then they sense that there is a power coming.
Oh yeah.
And then at first there's some ecstatic thing where it's like, oh, it's got to be Goku. Goku's here finally. Yay. Because Goku is supposed to arrive today. It's been a week.
He's like, wait, but there's more. It's not just one. It's 5.
5. And then that gives Vegeta the thing where he now desperately, not commanding, but desperately, even though it's anger, it's like, you need to give me the last fucking Dragon Ball now. I need to grant the wish. Like, you have no idea what is coming for us. You have no idea. If there are 5 powers coming here, that means that the Ginyu Force is coming. Frieza has summoned the Ginyu Force. And it's such a tense moment, because this is the first time the Vegeta has ever made a request of the characters. It's a forceful request. It's angry, but he's absolutely like in fear for his life. And in whatever skepticism Gohan and Krillin may have, Nail immediately quashes. It's like, there are 5 very horrible powers coming right for us. And it's like, oh shit! So now an uneasy alliance must be formed.
Yeah, and it's it's fun to see Vegeta and Krillin and Gohan, or Grillin, as we like to call him now.
Hey, bro!
As Vegeta and
Want
Krillin
a burger?
Get together. It's cool to see them kind of unapologetically being frenemies. It's fun to watch that, right now. Yeah. And as they start their journey to the good side.
This was great as a kid. Yeah. Like this moment, the idea that they would have to team up with the big bad. And there's so much more too, because Krillin is weighing the calculus. We have to bring Piccolo back to life because we need the Dragon Balls on Earth. We have to do this, we have to do that. I can't let Vegeta have his wish. And then Nail provides a detail that we didn't know. He said, but you would still have 2 additional wishes.
What?
It's like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, our Dragon Balls grant 3 wishes.
Yeah, they're 3 times the size of your Dragon Balls, at least. Maybe bigger. We've got much bigger balls on them. Dragon Balls, no. and so there is this just little drip of hope. We're like, okay, we need to get that Dragon Ball. We need to go. And so they agree and they fly off. Right. And so now we're getting into the Ginyu Force, guys. So episode 62 starts the Ginyu Force era of
I believe they arrive at the end of...
They arrive at the end of 61. They show up to Frieza, and then they have a little conversation here with Frieza, and they have some pretty good dance moves, or at least they think in their mind. I think they're pretty ridiculous, but that's kind of the point.
Definitely a commentary, maybe Toriyama's feelings towards like Sentai shows, because they do those Sentai poses, like all the elongated limbs.
There's 5 of them, just like the Power Rangers. So it's very much like a Super Sentai show or any kind of thing where it's like they have to do some.
They always like if you watch old Power Rangers. I'm sorry for the people who are just listening, but they do oscillate between like this kind of pose and like this kind of pose.
A crane pose into a whirlwind arm around the shoulder to a
They're basically just doing wushu. I mean, this is what I grew up doing. Like they're just doing wushu, which involves a lot of like cool and funny poses. And then they do this very, very long intro, which is hilarious. And I love in Kai, they included a brand new song for it. That's like the Ginyu, like Toku Sentai, Toku Sentai. Yeah. If you haven't heard that song, look up the Ginyu Toku Sentai song with subtitles so you can see, because it's all in Japanese and it's talking about after this we're gonna go get a parfait if we do well and stuff like that. It's a great song. It's hilarious. They do it, and then after they do their pose, there's just this backdrop of roses. Behind them, and Frieza just looks embarrassed as all hell. Like
he's got a tear in his eye. He's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I employed these guys."
The Faustian bargain I made. Why were these guys born the most powerful out of all of my subjects?
But they are effective. But so let's talk a little bit about the Ginyu Force. There's 5 of them. There is. We talked a little bit we did a brief overview last week, but we're going to go a little more detail now. We're just going to explain them.
We talked about the milk product thing, right?
Let's describe them physically, and then just give you a little name to the a physical breakdown with the name. Okay,
we have Ginyu himself, the captain, who's purple. He's got 2 giant balls on his head,
2 horns
with horns that come out of his balls on his head, and he's the strongest. He is a power level over 130,000, I believe.
Yep, and his special ability is that we'll find out later is that he can change bodies and take over others' forms. So who knows if that's who knows if the Captain Ginyu we see is actually the original Captain Ginyu.
Right.
He might have been trading bodies and more powerful bodies, as we know.
And on the total opposite end of that spectrum, we have Guldo, who's a little green frog dude with eyes on the side of his head, who is not very strong, doesn't have a high power level at all, but has the ability to manipulate time.
Yes, and he can not only can stop time, he can also freeze people as well.
Right.
So, but the funny thing about that, which we will get in a minute, is that he can only do it as long as he's holding his breath for pausing time. He can make people pause, but to actually stop time, he has to hold his breath.
Right.
But that's a really funny scene that we'll get into later.
And a very useful power. I mean, the fact that he's not very tough, but it's like, but he can manipulate time. I mean,
It's clutch.
yeah.
And then of course there's Jace, and he's the Australia. If you watch the American dub, he's got the Aussie accent here, bro.
He's from Space Australia.
I mean, they even have lines where he says, "Oh man, let's get some shrimps in the barbie." Or like,
Does he in the dub say that? Oh,
and he says, he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't last a second down under, bruv." You know, something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And Scott McNeil, when he played him too, also did the Australian accent, and he did. It was the first time Scott McNeil ever did like his metal scream, and it was during that initial pose off where he's just like, "Oh, I'm Jace." Yeah. It's like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like,
and Jace he is your quintessential 80s rock star hair all the way down his lower back.
Oh, totally.
It's white, and he's color red. So every one of these Ginyu fighters has a different color, obviously associating with them. Same thing like Power Rangers or Super Sentai would have as well.
Right. And then we have Berter, the Blue Hurricane.
Berter
is his nickname, the fastest in the universe, which is a stat that fans have pointed out makes no sense because speed is based on power scaling, as Goku immediately shows and all that stuff. And I mean, again, I can talk about Dragon Ball Abridged all day, but their bit about it I feel like is the best that people have done. So, but yeah, he's very, very fast. He's the tallest member of the team.
He's big. He's a big old boy.
He's like 9 feet tall or something. He's huge, and he kind of looks like a weird like bug dude with like red eyes.
Yeah. And then we have Raccoon, very popular. He's been in all the there's a lot of, he has all the best moves too, by the way. He has like 5 or 6 really cool moves that he just named himself. Eraser gun, and then like Raccoon Boom, and it's where he just shoots like tons of little bullets or like, energy bullets off his hands.
It almost feels like the Ginyu Force was a respectable mercenary force until they hired Raccoon.
Right.
It was like, hey guys, we gotta flash this up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's actually giving him a little too much respect. And I don't want to hate on that voiceover because like they're going for a thing, and I get it. But the Japanese version is actually pretty subtle compared to the American dub.
His Japanese voice is hilarious. There's a scene later, I'll touch on it again, where like Vegeta or somebody blasts him, and you think he's dead, and the smoke clears, and he's just doing this like very like funny little pose, and he's like, "Hi."
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, yeah. I did watch one of the dub episodes while I was going through this process.
Even in the Japanese, like he'll be like, "Hi." He just says it in English. It's so funny.
And so Raccoon has like a buzz cut on the top. It's like orange hair. He looks a lot like Frankenstein's monster, basically, but his skin color is like a Caucasian male. He's actually the most human of them all looking.
Like more orangey. He's actually, like, he's got like very orange skin, like red hair on top and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely looks, he's the most humanoid out of all of them.
And he's pretty, his superpower is he's very strong.
Yes. Physically strong.
He's physically strong. He can take a beating, and he can give a beating.
Oh, he can take a beating too, which he will later. Yeah. But so that's everybody.
That's basically the Ginyu Force.
Yeah.
So I mean, just one more thing about them. I was, back in the day before the rewatch I'm on right now, I never really appreciated the Ginyu Force as much as I do now. Now that I can actually sit back and just watch this, have fun, and I don't have to take it super seriously sometimes. That's really what the Ginyu Force is about. It's like, hey, it's about to get dark, and actually, even with the Ginyu Force, it gets dark. But Toriyama, always for a guy to have moments of levity and lightness, he adds a Ginyu Force who are full of laughs, full of terrible jokes, and just really these intentionally cheesy characters that are a lot of fun to watch.
And it kind of makes them scarier in a way too, because you could have a menacing character just like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill all of you, and actually do it. But the fact that they seem just so whatever about it, and then they're kind of like a joke, they're kind of cringe, everything they do. Yeah. And then they just can easily like Vegeta, Krillin, Gohan, no match for them at all.
Not at all. So anyways, back on task. But that is the Ginyu Force. Catch on up if you're not yet. We're on episode 62.
New ally, new problem.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the Ginyu Force, they land, they do their cool special dance together, and then Frieza looks on astonishment, which you touched on, and the Ginyu Force having exceptionally speed show up or sort of the name of Vegeta could detect their arrival. Sorry. Yeah. So basically, what we find out is that they're super powerful, super strong. We've known this for a couple episodes now.
Right.
But it was cool. So Vegeta, he launches a Dragon Ball. Oh, crap. There we go. Okay, Vegeta launches a Dragon Ball, but to no avail. He tries so Berter is there. All the Ginyu Force is with Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan. Vegeta and Krillin. They're hanging out there. Vegeta has a Dragon Ball on him. And Berter, who they know, they were just sent to go get these Dragon Balls from Frieza, literally earlier in the episode.
Right.
So they're there. He says, okay.
Because they have scouters.
They have scouters. Yeah. That's the whole point, is they're there with new scouters. They even drop off some updated scouters to Frieza so they can use.
You know what's crazy is that everyone they fly so fast that nobody even senses them coming.
Right.
They're just upon them, and then that's just it. And there's a moment in the filler in Z that isn't in the manga or in Kai, where they actually land and Vegeta's like, all right, give me the Dragon Ball now. And then Krillin hesitates because he's like, wait a minute, I can't give this guy the Dragon Ball.
Oh, no.
Oh, because there was a moment earlier we skipped over where they go to where Bulma's hiding, they grab the Dragon Ball, they fly away, and Bulma is freaked out like, wait, why were Krillin and Gohan with Vegeta? That makes no sense.
Right.
I just survived a crab monster twice protecting that ball, and now they're just giving it to Vegeta. So it kind of, I do like the little filler of Krillin making the decision not to give it to him, because it felt like, as a kid, that his indecision to just like, you know what, I have to make a unsteady alliance with this guy, leads to their possible demise.
Exactly.
It's like, if he had just given it to him, the presumption is he could have made a wish and everything would have been fine before the Ginyu Force showed up. But if he could rattle off a wish in like 3 seconds, if the dragon comes out that quickly.
And it's unfortunate because even with Krillin, you're not even sure if he has doubts if that's even the lesser of two evils, you know?
Right. Yeah, he doesn't know what the Ginyu Force is. Yeah, I mean, he could be being used. I mean, it's a very, very tense situation. And the Ginyu Force show up, they're acting goofy and all that stuff. But they are immediately, their power is on display. Like, Vegeta turns around, throws his Dragon Ball. Before Gohan and Krillin even turn around to look, Berter has already caught it and returned with it.
Yeah, he brings it back, and that's how you find out he's super fast.
Right. In terms of raw speed, he's the fastest in the universe.
Fastest in the universe for at least another episode.
And then Vegeta tells Krillin, destroy the Dragon Ball that he's holding. So he tries to, and then Goldo takes it just by holding his breath. And freezing time and just grabbing it. And that's how we find out about Goldo's ability.
Exactly, which is pretty cool too. Which leads us into episode 63.
Hold on. Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Goldo's mind binds.
Goldo's mind. Goldo's mind.
he has like 8 pronunciations, guys. Goldo, Gord,
Gerd. Yeah, because it's a play on curd.
Gerd. So whatever, Gertie, Gerd. That's little guy.
Yeah. So this episode is, they all play a crazy game of Rochambeau.
Yeah.
Because Ginyu is like, okay, well, now we don't need them. We don't need to bring Vegeta back alive like Frieza told us to, because we've got all the balls. I'll just bring the balls to him, and you guys can figure out who gets to kill whom, and they play Rochambeau for it.
You know what, Dan? Great point. I wanted to add on there. I got to give Ginyu Squad a little bit of props here for having, as far as all the bad guys in Dragon Ball, they do at least seem to have a little bit of, what's the word? Like,
organization.
Yeah, they're not just organization.
Meritocracy, or
they're definitely like,
or like fairness, I guess.
Yeah, they're pretty fair. They're like, hey, we'll play rock paper scissors for that. Yeah, I was just looking for the right word. It'll come up to me. But like, you know, in the military, they're organized, and they respect the rules of war.
But they're not dictatorial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, is that, I don't know if that's the correct word, but yeah, they're like, yeah, we'll just figure out who gets it, and then Raccoon gets Vegeta. Yeah. And then he gives Goldo, like, oh, you can have the 2 little runs or whatever.
Yeah.
So then
And so they talked about it, say, hey, you have the runts and you save Vegeta for me or vice versa, something like that. So it's pretty cool that they do have an honor. They have an honor system and a code that they actually work on as a Ginyu Force. And not many bad guys in this series have that kind of honor system, at least for now.
Right.
They're sticking to it. And even when Goku comes, they stop kind of do. So it's kind of cool to see that in some villains in this series.
Totally. And so this is a moment where we finally get to see Gohan and Krillin unleash their new powers. Because we haven't seen them powered up yet. And I remember when they first did it, because this was maybe back in the day, because again, old man Dan's got to bring up how we had to watch the same episodes over and over and over again for years.
675 times before the next episode.
And but this was always an exciting moment when Krillin, I remember like in the original dub, was like, let's turn up the heat. And they just like power all the way up, and they launch at Goldo, who escapes by the skin of his teeth, even though he can freeze time because he has to hold his breath. And he's like, oh my gosh, they're already right there.
Right.
He keeps screwing up until eventually he just freezes them in place and decides that he's going to impale them with a tree.
With the lollipop tree that he has fashioned into.
Yeah, he just uses telekinetic
skewer.
powers. He's like a more powerful version of Chaozu.
Yeah.
He just pulls a lollipop tree out of the ground, just turns it into a spear, and he's like, all right, I'm going to skewer you both now. And you wrote a note here. I think I'll let you hit that because I think that's a really important point to mention.
Oh, yeah, this is super cool. Okay, I didn't realize this until I was watching yesterday or today. I was catching back up on these episodes. And I just thought it was really notable that this is basically Gohan's first fight where he's capable of entering the fray and try to kind of holding his own as a warrior individually.
Right.
Not, like he said, hey, you can tell he's not afraid. He doesn't have the fear he used to have back when he was with Piccolo or even on Earth against Vegeta. And even earlier on Namek, he was still scared, but he would jump and go get a Dragon Ball and go away real quick and kind of back and forth. But this is the first time you see Gohan saying, hey, I'm not backing down. I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to, at least whether I win or lose, I'm going to meet this challenge head on as a warrior. And so you do see a really cool bit of maturity here, and it's great to see Gohan finally entering the fray as a warrior on his own, of his own cognizance. Not like someone saying, hey, we need you to do this now or we're going to die.
And you're absolutely right. He's not scared. He is now officially a warrior.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. Yeah, that's a great growth.
Yeah, and that was a great growth moment, and that's basically all we had to touch on the last of 63. But Gohan, congratulations, you're growing up. We're proud of you.
And even in the face of almost death, he keeps his composure. He's still fighting to the last thing. He doesn't look scared. He just looks like he's struggling to get out. And then Vegeta ends up saving them by decapitating Goldo and then just blowing his head up.
Very surprise move there by Vegeta, huh? What's the deal with that?
Well, there was filler in this episode too, if I remember correctly, that established a little bit of like a backstory, which was just basically that Vegeta insulted Goldo one time, and now he like really hates Vegeta.
Okay, I did see that filler. I watched it, and basically Goldo, whatever you want to call him, little toad guy, he's really pissed off because Frieza prefers him over Vegeta over him, and Frieza does a energy blast and it knocks Gord off of his feet and embarrasses him in front of Vegeta, and Vegeta just kind of scoffs and laughs and does a big bully kind of scene for him, and that gives him the motivation.
Right. I mean, this guy probably has a lot more trauma that we don't know about, because if that is enough to make him just hate Vegeta beyond all reason forever, that's pretty funny. But yeah, Vegeta ends up getting the last laugh. He blows his head up, and that's a wrap on episode 63.
Yes, all right. Trucking right along. 64. Do you want to go on this one, or did I do did you do the last one, huh?
I think I don't know.
We both
yeah,
did.
we could do, yeah.
All right, kind of got a little frog in my throat, so I'm kind of working through it. I don't know why.
I think we both do. Yeah, we both. We were talking about, and if people are kind of in the greater Los Angeles area, this seems to be a thing where everyone's kind of has a weird phlegmy thing for the past few months.
I don't know. So forgive us for that.
And there's absolutely a skunk outside right now. I don't know if you picked that up. I was like, oh yeah, there's like an animal has been skunked. So anyway, they escape. by the skin of their teeth, and now Raccoon is set to fight Vegeta.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. This is a fun episode. I really like these next three up here. They're bangers.
Yeah. Vegeta does a crazy power up where he's like spiraling energy. Gohan and Krillin are just like, holy shit, he's this strong now. He powers up all the way and then just lays the biggest beatdown.
What's his power level at? It's at 30,000 power level right now.
Is it 30,000?
Yeah, it's over 30,000.
Okay, yeah, so he has not surpassed Nail.
Yeah, he has not surpassed
Nail could have murked him if he wanted to, but Nail was just very committed to guarding Guru. So
yeah, I think on the Scouters they noticed that and say, "Oh, Vegeta's power level's at 30,000. Not bad." You know, they're impressed. You know.
And Raccoon, it's almost like he likes getting beat up on by his prey because he just kind of takes this. Like Vegeta rushes forward, beats the shit out of him, ki blasts the shit out of him, makes a big explosion. You're like, oh, okay, he's dead. And then the smoke clears and he's like, hi.
I kind of wonder, on a side tangent here, look, tangent. I kind of wonder if Raccoon could be like an earlier inspiration for Broly. I don't know if Broly came out before Raccoon was in Dragon Ball or after, but after for sure.
Yeah,
because I think when I watch these episodes, I think Raccoon would make a great sparring buddy, which is basically Broly. You know, his ability. He's a huge dude, super strong, can handle anything.
If he wasn't a villain, if he wasn't Ginyu, if he was just a dude on Earth, I feel like he and Goku would have been best friends.
Oh yeah, Goku's like, hey, I got a stack of senzu beans for you. Let's go. Let me beat the shit out of you and see what happens.
Like, yeah, brain trauma doesn't exist in our
keep training, Goku.
Voiced by Slice the Line.
Slice. Adrian. No.
Yeah.
But
I didn't teach you how to be a Saiyan. Why you teach me how to be a Ginyu?
Come on, man.
So Vegeta just lays the smackdown of smackdowns. It doesn't do shit.
Yeah, and also just want to know, this is some cool animation in this episode. And obviously, it's a visual podcast. I don't think I'm going to have any animations of it, but just go back and watch it. They do some good animating here. On 64, this fight scene.
Vegeta just versus Raccoon. Yeah, you can see a lot. They brought out some heavy hitter animators on this, and it's a beautiful scene.
You could probably just YouTube it and just see a clip, Raccoon versus Vegeta, and you'll see some great animation. He does some really great punches. They do some, aerial action, and I think, he gets knocked on the ground pretty cool, but really cool animation sequences going on here.
And even in the manga too, like this was just one of the many genius things about Toriyama is his ability to panel and to convey movement just from panel to panel, the way he would draw your eye between pictures, which is something I love Toyotaro as an artist. And something he gets criticized for a lot is that he's not the best paneler. Like his panels can be very busy. He puts like 30 panels on one page and you're kind of like, I don't know which one I'm looking at first or whatever. But Toriyama, just his economy of paneling, the way he can draw your eye around the page, but also his dynamic posing.
Right.
The way that he would illustrate perspective. Like people in these really weird, like beyond Todd McFarlane-esque poses, doing these weird like upside down, sideways split kicks. And stuff like that, which we'll see later when Raccoon ends up fighting Gohan.
And Captain Ginyu as well has a really cool fight scene with Goku where they use a specific perspective just like that. I'll go ahead and talk about it now because I might forget about it later.
Sure.
But there's a really interesting sequence where Goku, he uses, I think it's just a ki blast, or he just punches him really hard. And Captain Ginyu, his legs are kind of split like in a V formation or kind of like down in a catcher squat if you're thinking about baseball, okay? And he's on... if you look in the background, it's land and then it's another lake because Planet Namek is full of lakes, right?
Right.
So it's really cool because you see this quick shot from a punch to I guess it's a POV of Captain Ginyu getting knocked in his chest, and he goes back and you see these two skid marks on the land, and it goes into the water too. So it's like his feet getting knocked back through the dirt, and it's kind of showing it just scraping the dirt and then into the water, and it kind of has him splitting the water with his feet too. A really, really cool moment that, like, if you're paying attention and say, oh wow, actually that was a really cool little animation sequence that could be easily looked over if you're not quite paying attention. So
totally,
got to give DBZ props for that. One of the reasons why we love it is they do fun things like that.
Both in the manga and Toei. I mean, Toei really. I mean, for all the criticisms, I mean, there's some beautiful animation in the show, and the way that they do this fight in particular, Vegeta versus Raccoon, is just one of those great fights from the Namek saga.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's continue this fight, okay? Mm-hmm. So Vegeta is getting whooped now. Okay, Raccoon is just going hard. He let Vegeta do his couple punches, show that Vegeta has power. It's not enough. All it really does to Raccoon is blow off his armor. He does destroy his armor. That's
Right.
about it. He
kind of gives him a little bit of a haircut.
Yeah, he messes his hair up and he gets his armor blown off, and then his butt, there's his pants are blown off basically on his ass.
Totally.
So his ass is kind of hanging out. But
He's got like 80s ass out pants now. All of a sudden.
He does not have a tramp stamp, so that's good.
and then finally, when he's had enough, he just launches his counterattack, and Vegeta just has no chance.
Yeah, and this is really interesting to note because poor Vegeta is, measuring stick Vegeta in this episode, It's showing, hey, Raccoon is super strong. Vegeta gets, just the shit beat out of him. He gets punched in the gut. Then he gets suplexed or body slammed. Vegeta tries to counter. He does this quick flying in the sky, whoosh, and then Raccoon catches him and then just, does the infamous body slam into the earth kind of scene.
Right.
And it cuts to Gohan and Krillin. I think I'm going to stick with that.
It's just going to be Krillin forever.
It's going to be Krillin, man. Yeah, we're just going to roll with Krillin. But you get a really cool cut of like Krillin being like, oh no, because it's happening. And then even Vegeta, you can see it cuts to Vegeta's eyes. He's like, oh shit. Because he doesn't have the strength to fight. He's bloodied. He's bloodied to all hell if you're watching.
His eye is already like swollen, yeah.
One eye he can't even use. And he's just like, oh shit. And then Raccoon just like body slams him into the earth with just zero intention to keep this guy alive.
There's also sort of a reveal that it seems like Raccoon has been playing up a little bit or hamming up the amount of damage he's been taking. Because Vegeta launches like a haymaker at him. And Raccoon's like, oh, and then he just goes, like his face just gets like, okay, now I've got you. And he grabs Vegeta. And
are you talking about like the when Vegeta's playing possum when he's just kind of holding him?
Yeah.
Point blank, he does his most powerful ki blast he can do on short notice without charging up. Vegeta does.
Oh yeah,
you can tell it's like a final blow.
Knocks his teeth out.
All of his teeth out, and he just kind of. I think he like breathes and like smoke comes out. He's like, oh, I'm fine, but good try,
no,
Vegeta.
I gotta kill you.
And Vegeta's like, that's basically the last of what he had.
Right.
So he was damn near death.
He uses his eraser gun, but Gohan and Krillin step in, returning the favor, now saving him.
Yeah.
Which brings us right into episode 65, Let the Battle Begin.
Let the battle begin. All right, want to get into this one, DK, for us?
Sure, yeah. So Raccoon does a big fire
That's from the last episode, sorry.
Oh, okay. Let the battle begin. All right, starting from here.
Oh, yeah.
So with Krillin and Vegeta both knocked out of commission by the terrible Raccoon. Okay, so he knocks Krillin out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Now only Gohan is left to contend. And it doesn't go well for Gohan.
Oh my god.
He gets his neck broken. I mean,
this is tough.
One of the most classic panels, I was just talking about these dynamic perspective poses that he does. Gohan launches an attack and Raccoon like rolls over him and launches an upside down sideways kick and just snaps Gohan's neck. And I think Krillin wasn't able to do anything to Raccoon. I think he just gets basically finished right away.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really cool episode too. We're gonna go into more detail in a second here, but it's crazy because this is Gohan is like this is his first. Hey, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm the last one alive. I don't know if Goku's gonna show up or not, but I gotta do my best to fight.
Right, he's doing basically what everybody else did in the Saiyan saga. It's just like, I'm literally the last man standing.
Yeah, last boy standing, yeah.
And there was a thing before where Nail was supposed to go and help them.
Right.
And then I think that Toriyama realized like, oh wait, Nail's actually too strong. Like he might actually be able to defeat Raccoon. And so Nail, out of a sense of duty to the elder Namek Guru, he just does like a backflip twist and then just flies back. It's like, nope, I'm gonna disobey this direct order and just go back to protecting Guru.
Like, I wonder if Guru has some soup. I'm kind of in the mood for soup.
Yeah.
I think he has some nice Chef Boyardee or some soups we can cook and just hang out with Guru.
He just decides, he's like, I'll let the Earthlings handle it.
Yeah, let's go hang out with Guru. He's dying. Let's get that guy a good send off.
And meanwhile, lest we forget that at this point, Frieza has all 7 Dragon Balls.
Yes.
He has all 7 of them. I don't know yet if he has tried to use them at this point.
Right.
But I'll save that. I'll save that because we got Gohan near death. We got Krillin near death from this whole thing. Just batting away Gohan's attacks like they're nothing. And Gohan too. I mean, he's like doing the best he possibly can with newly awakened powers.
Exactly. I mean, he's charging up. You see some rocks go up, which means he's charging up pretty strong. He's got a nice blue aura to him.
Right.
At the beginning of this fight, you think you're like, okay, maybe he does some punches. He does a nice fury combination to Riku's face for a couple of hits.
Right.
But then it's pretty much game over. I mean, Gohan really never stood a chance, and I gotta give him a little respect for getting out there and doing his thing. But Riku just beats the shit out of him, like straight up, man. Like,
yeah.
Gohan, did you see his face in this episode? I mean,
yeah.
It is like there's more blood. His face looks like cheese or Chase. It's all red, like from here all the way down. I mean, this dude is like beat the hell up.
This 5-year-old boy, he just did his best to fight against one of the strongest fighters in the universe, and just gets his fucking face kicked in.
And this is kind of a cringe episode. I love watching it, but it's hard. It's kind of hard to watch because Goku, God bless his little spirit. The thing is, like, this is one of the moments where I wish he was a little bit more like Krillin. Krillin's like, you know what? Not smart. This guy's going to outclass us. He's going to beat the crap out of me. Maybe I should just lay this one down, play possum for a little bit, at least try to regain a little bit of strength. Nope, not Gohan. Not newly found unleashed strength warrior Gohan. This guy's like, he gets up once and just gets destroyed, and he does his hands in the dirt and he kind of grabs the dirt and says, "No, I can't. I must be strong for my friends."
Right.
And he gets up and says he's gonna do it, and he just again beat the shit. I was like, dude, you don't even have a strategy. You're just literally getting up to get killed. Basically.
I mean, there's nothing they can do. Like they can't escape Birder.
Yeah.
He's too fast. They have to just make a last stand and just hope beyond hope again that Goku shows up in the nick of time.
Yeah, maybe if his dad was better at parenting, he would be there on time instead of late dad.
Yeah, if only his dad had a faster ship, even more so than the ship that they arrived on Namek with.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have come and saved them. But I mean, I feel like, as cringe as this may be, watching a 5-year-old go through this level of punishment, I mean, it is honestly good storytelling. When you have stakes this high, you really, really care about it.
Yeah, and it's a growth moment, and it shows that, hey, guess what? Flashback to episode 2 and 3 when Piccolo was beating the crap out of Gohan. This shows how tough he's gotten, thanks to Piccolo's abuse.
Right. And surviving Vegeta.
Surviving Vegeta. So
I mean, this kid, and he, I gotta say, he comes out of his childhood with a very even temperament.
Yeah, he turned out all right, actually.
He really did.
He takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I haven't heard that one in forever, but...
So this episode does end with Frieza and Ginyu attempting to summon the Namekian dragon, and they can't do it, and then they realize, like, oh shit, we thought that you just have to assemble them together, and then they start to theorize, like, well, do we have to arrange them in a certain order?
Right.
Is there a password? Is there something? And then Frieza remembers that one of the Namekians that he slaughtered said to him, it doesn't matter if you get all 7 of these, you are not going to be able to use them, dumbass.
Right. Yeah.
And he was just like, dumbass, I'm not a dumbass.
He's like, oh man, maybe he was right. Maybe we shouldn't have killed everyone. And
right.
It's a great moment too, because number one, those are actually all great questions. Thank you, Akira, for making it easy for us to he thought this through when he wrote that scene.
Right.
It wasn't just we don't have it. Things like, okay, well, maybe we need to do an arrangement. Maybe we need a password.
That was notable to me too when I was rewatching it with Wade, where I was like, oh man, the fact that they didn't know right off the bat, it's like, oh, maybe we have to do like a thing. Even Ginyu's like, I will use like my dance of divination to try to figure this out or something.
Exactly. So it did show some thoughtfulness on Toriyama's writing, and also on Frieza as a smart character.
Right.
Some people are like, what do we do now? And he's like, starts doing combinations. So he does figure it out that they're gonna have to go get some Nameks to solve this Dragon Ball issue.
Which brings us to episode 66, Goku's New Power. Goku arrives on Namek.
Super cool.
Very, very close, very conveniently to where the battle is happening with the Ginyu Force. He can sense everybody. He goes over, gives everybody a sensu bean.
Super stoically, of course.
Right, including Vegeta, which everybody's like, Krillin and Gohan can't believe it. It's like, what?
Yep. And Vegeta has his famous constipation look on his face. Oh,
right.
Power, Goku he's that strong.
Yes. And this episode, I think, concludes the episodes of the annoying repetitive wheel of death that we had in the 90s. This was it, is that he shows up, he is mysteriously able to read Krillin's mind, and also it seems like he's completely unconcerned about the Ginyu Force, much in the same way he was about Nappa, but I would say even more so. And there's a lot of filler stuff happening where like Jason Birder are kind of shooting beams at him, and it appears that he's not moving, but Vegeta notices that there are just tiny little skid marks on the ground where his feet were just sliding, where he was just slipping those punches super smoothly.
Almost instinctually.
Yeah.
Almost ultra instinctually. Dun dun dun. No.
I gotta go on a little side tangent here too. Like as a young man, Dragon Ball Z formed in my mind what the idea of training and working out looked like. And I was like, oh yeah, you just don't sleep for days and you just do like 1,000 sit-ups. And then you get stronger, you get bigger.
Duh.
And stuff like that. and it, you know, that's obviously for people who know have ever worked out, it's like, no, that's not how it works. No. But I assumed for years as a child that this is how it worked. It's like, oh yeah, I can't wait till I'm a little bit bigger. Like I'm totally just gonna do like sit-ups all day long.
All day.
I think I did that in 6th grade. What I would do is I would put on a movie and I would just do sit-ups until burnout, and then I would rest for a couple minutes, and then I would do sit-ups until burnout through the whole movie. And I thought that this would give me a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And it never did.
2 hour abs. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hour abs. It never did. I had a constant cramping in my stomach. Maybe that is the genesis or the progenitor of all of my back problems, putting that much strain on my spine. But yeah, that's not how working out goes.
Did you not take your Capsule Corp sports drink like Goku does?
No, I drank the beer in the fridge, so that was my problem.
You took the beer choice.
Yeah,
okay, there you go. That'll do it.
So the other thing too is that this is where Vegeta starts speculating. Because first, like I remember this speech so clearly from that original dub. Because God, I saw it so many times as a kid. It's such a core memory. Where they look at him through their scatters and they're like, oh, he's got like a power level of like 9 or something like that, something ridiculous. And then Vegeta says something like, those idiots don't realize that Kakarot's suppressing his power,
right?
But by how much? Because Vegeta can't even sense it. He's like, I know that he's pushing his power down, but how much is he containing? And then when he sees how fast Goku's able to spike his power to like evade the attacks, that's when Vegeta realizes that Goku might in fact be the legendary Super Saiyan.
That's really cool moment you just mentioned and hit on there. They do have a kind of it's not a flashback, it's more of a cut scene to where it does show like, you know, they go into the history in the next, I think it's the next episode. Yeah, it's the next episode.
I might be blending 66 and 67
but it's
here.
Fine. Honestly, we can kind of blend it together because this whole stretch kind of does go together a little bit.
Totally.
So on 66, though, it's really cool moments there when Goku lands on planet. Because at this point, we are pumped, right? Like, if you're a fan, you're a kid, you're an adult, anyone who's watching this show, you've seen him hit 100 times gravity and get used to it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, King Kai was what? How many? 10? It was like 2 times Earth's gravity, right? Or was it 10 times? 10. It was 10. Yeah. Sorry, it's 10 times Earth's gravity. Now he's at 100 with ease. And Goku gets off and you're like, dude, this is exciting. You know, you're really pumped. You've earned it. You've waited. You watched the show on Toonami or however many years it took to get there. Like,
especially like I got to think about the people who watched it in the original broadcast run, you know, waiting week to week per episode. Which was how we had it in syndication. It was first like every Sunday at 10 a.m. For me. And that was such a moment when he finally got there after months and months of waiting. And it's like, yes, he's here. And holy shit, he's so much stronger than he was before. It was, I mean, like the emotional release that you get from that. I mean, it's so great. And people who read the manga, you know, too, contemporaneous in Japan as it was coming out week to week, I'm sure they felt that same way. They're like, oh, thank God Goku is finally here. And holy shit, has he gotten that much stronger? Really? Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Just a really fun, like, oh man, like you get goosebumps when you watch it. It's just like Goku is here, and I think he's ready to kick some ass.
Totally.
And that's basically it. Yeah. There's some speculation. Vegeta, everyone's in awe of his power. He gets his guys gassed back up. And does he? I'm not sure. I think he does. He defeats Raccoon in this episode for sure.
He punches him in the stomach.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Raccoon's about to do something. Yeah. He punches him, and he's like, "Sorry, you just had an opening there. I just had to take it." Yeah.
And it was really cool because they do a stop animation in the same exact scene. Later on, they show it because they're like, "How did this work?" And it showed him elbow him in the stomach in like a slow motion, and it was like black and white or black and red, and it just showed how basically this one shot just rippled every ligament, every bone, every tendon in his body, and it just showed Raccoon's body just kind of crumble from the inside from the shot. And there's like these cool yellow lines, and it's just a really cool action sequence, and it's just like a freeze frame. When you see bones break, but instead of bones, it was just his whole body crumbling, and that really gave you a good example or framework to look through to see like how powerful that elbow was.
Right. There's a concept in Chinese martial arts called Fa Jing or Fa Li, which is this idea of like putting all of your energy into a single attack that does more than just hit the opponent at the epicenter of the attack. Right. Like it could go through them, it can travel through their body and stuff like that. This is a thing.
That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, people will hypothesize that Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch was a Fa Jing or a Fa Li in that way. And I remember, later, because I reread the story a lot and rewatched it a lot as I was growing up. And I remember later when I was practicing Chinese martial arts, I had a conversation with my Shishong, was like my older brother and stuff like that. And we were talking about like, he's like, like Toriyama really must be like a martial arts genius if he put these like details in here and stuff like that. And I think that he might have just been a storytelling genius. Yeah. He might have just like, and he probably watched a lot of kung fu movies.
Yeah, a lot of film.
There's like a lot of like dim mak and stuff like that. But yeah, like definitely you can feel Toriyama's love for kung fu either represented through cinema or otherwise in these little details like this. And it makes the narrative a lot richer and a lot cooler. And I mean, especially knowing, as we know, of course, that Toriyama was inspired to make this because he was watching lots of
okay, we're good. Sorry, just looking at the levels. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no worries, because he was watching kung fu movies.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, that's a great explanation of that one for Goku's power. But it's just a really cool episode there too. I think that just blends in. We're gonna finish off 67, and that'll probably be the end of this episode. But this is basically when you hit on the head on the nail earlier about when Vegeta was talking about the mythical Super Saiyan legend.
Right.
So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. But first, before we get into that,
we should do a little correction at the top, because we said we were going through 77. I think we said 57 through 77. Well, so we could just put a little disclaimer on the screen for the visual thing, and hopefully
I'll fix it and then, because we're going to stop this one at 67, and then we might do another one after this as well. I'm not sure. Probably will.
It's late. It's late here.
It's late here.
And we still have yet to mourn the passing of Toriyama Sensei.
But you know what though? Look at this. If you're watching us right now, we're amped. We're smiling.
Yeah.
We're like, that's the thing, is like we were in such profound sadness when we talked a little bit at the beginning of this episode.
Right.
And like, but the thing is, like, talking about Dragon Ball, like, it gets you so excited, it's so pumped, and it brings so much joy to both of our faces. Like, you can literally, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see how happy we are talking about Dragon Ball.
Right.
And it just shows how important this man was to us and our upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a feeling. I think I said, I feel like once we start talking about it, because we were both worried. Honestly, we're pretty low energy. We're both very depressed.
You're like,
I went briefly down a little rabbit hole of what Oda Sensei and everybody was saying, the statements they released, and I was like, oh god, I'm just making myself sadder and sadder. But I said, I think once we start talking about Dragon Ball, we're really gonna tap into that thing of why this story is so special. How it just continues to elicit excitement and love and passion and all of the things that have carried us as mega fans of it for over 30 years now, for majority of our lives. So
we're just happy to have that there. But that was a little tangent. But we're just gonna do this last episode. We just got to talk a few points here on 67.
Sure.
There's not really too much notable. But Goku does start fighting Berter and Chase, Butter, Cheese, whatever you want to call
Butter
them.
and cheese.
And basically, Goku challenged him, said, "Hey, well, he challenged Raccoon earlier, saying you're not going to get a punch on me." But the same thing actually applies to Berter and Chase as well. They simultaneously attacked Goku, and he's excited to probably see it. He's still very stoic. He's not really moving at all. But they do a full-out barrage. I mean, basically every trick, everything you could imagine under the sun, every punch, not one thing lands on Goku. Goku dodges with ease. Sometimes they go from left to right, like fighter jets, back and forth, crossing just to see him slip up. Right. Goku is on his ball on this one. Really, really cool moment there. And that's basically actually the whole episode. But we do talk a little bit about the Super Saiyan. Now, the only thing I really wanted to touch on in this episode here, and I don't know if you want to add anything about this as well, but when Vegeta does mention, wow, he sees Goku fighting Chase and Geese, real butter.
Chase and Geese.
Yeah, okay, that's him. Cheese is Jace, whatever, and Butter, Berter. Do Butter and Cheese. When it's easier to say it that way. When they're fighting, he says, oh, this legendary Super Saiyan, could he be it? And it kind of does a cut scene. And the animation you see, or the photographs on screen here, are of a giant golden Uzuru.
Yeah.
Which obviously in GT, I'll tell you right now, my expertise in GT is zero. The goose egg, the donut, nothing. I know like a couple names like Baby. I've seen a couple episodes. That's about it. So I'm not an expert, but I have to imagine that they took some inspiration from the golden Uzuru you do see kind of a silhouette of from the original Saiyan from 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, in GT, what they posit is that if you still have a tail and you go Super Saiyan, you do become a giant golden Ozaru, and then and then the Super Saiyan 2 from there is what we call Super Saiyan 4. Okay. So if you have a tail and you go Super Saiyan 2, then you get red fur all over. Okay. You grow long black hair, all that stuff, and that's what we call Super Saiyan 4. But that's actually just a tailed Super Saiyan 2.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, there's a whole thing where like
the GT guys they're gonna come for us.
I don't know that there are GT guys that will come for us. Hey, if you do, like listen.
No hate.
Here's my thing about like loving or hating a thing. If you watch a thing and you love it, that is the best possible outcome you could have possibly had for it. Mm-hmm. Especially if it's something that everybody else hates. If everybody hates GT and you watch and you're like, this is my favorite show ever made, then that's fucking awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, because you got something out of it. You got to watch a thing and you got to enjoy it. I will say for GT, and I think others have shared this opinion too, so I don't think it's that controversial. The very end of it, the send-off that they give at the end of GT, I feel is a better ending than the end of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was so emotional when I saw that. I mean, like, this is just another thing. I mean, like, we're dealing with Toriyama's death now, but I remember the moment as a kid when I watched the end of GT after like a slog of watching GT and just like hating GT all the way through, and then and then seeing that ending and just feeling that profound bittersweet melancholy happiness of just like, wow, this thing that I've been watching forever is now over. It's over. And of course it had been over years before because America, we got everything so slow. But yeah, it was so sad. Mm. It was so sad. I mean, and that's, I kind of got that feeling a little bit at the end of Super 2, maybe not as much. It's just really, he's looking up a Akira Toriyama quote right now that he's going to share.
No, I mean, I just kind of wanted to find a cool one here, but I don't really have the right one yet, but it's tough. But I just didn't want to end on talking about GT. on an episode where
For
we're talking
sure.
about Toriyama.
And that's my fault.
Yeah.
You start me on any path, I'm just going to run as fast as I can down that path.
Yeah, let's just segue back to Z.
Let's segue back to Z. Let's segue back to the seeding of the idea of a Super Saiyan. And also too like this sort of it's not in the Japanese version, it was in the original dub. There was this very iconic line where it was the last line that Vegeta would say in that dub, where he said something like, if Kakarot can achieve Super Saiyan, that means I must be capable of doing it too, because I was born with such a higher power level. And then he says, until then, I am at his mercy. He is the strongest Saiyan in the universe. And that, like, I'm just getting goosebumps saying it. It's like, and then that would be the last that we would see for years and years as that dumb, stupid, repetitive wheel of death would just cycle those episodes over and over and over again. And we would continue to watch. But yeah, just such a great, everything right here, so great. Setting up the Super Saiyan, so great. Immediately wiping out the threat of the Ginyu Force while still keeping in the pocket that we haven't seen Captain Ginyu's full potential or Frieza's.
Yes. So we just have a lot of great stuff to come. And now we're excited. I'm excited for the next episode to share with you guys, because, we love this so much, and we're just glad we can do this for, and have you guys along the journey with us.
Right.
This is kind of selfishly, we're doing this for us, honestly. We love it. And we hope you guys enjoy it too, but that's why we're here. We love Dragon Ball Z, and we love you guys joining us on this journey together.
Right.
So.
And a lot of love to Akira Toriyama for creating possibly the most important story of my childhood. Something that I still get a lot of joy out of today, something that my son now gets a lot of joy out of too. And that has also inspired, I think, other stories that were so, they were so formative for me as well. I mean, I'm a huge Naruto fan. And
One Piece, Naruto, everyone.
Everything. I mean, and One Piece, I mean, if Akira Toriyama is the Richard Chamberlain or Magic Johnson of manga, you could probably call Oda the Michael Jordan, just for the longevity and how big One Piece is. Richard Chamberlain is the guy I'm thinking of, right? Or is it something Chamberlain? Someone can correct me. I don't know basketball. Wilt Chamberlain. That's right. I'm a dumbass.
I know basketball. I'm sorry. I was listening.
I knew it was Chamberlain something, because I've read those Lazenby biographies about Jordan and Kobe. But I mean seriously though, I mean, like, a lot of love to Toriyama, a lot of love to his friends and family, to the entire cast of Dragon Ball Z, everybody whose lives he has touched. I'm
raising my hand, giving you a little bit of Genki, guys. All together, we're all fans, we're all united, and and hopefully we'll continue being fans and loving for the rest of our lives. Yeah,
absolutely.
Gonna miss you, brother. All right, peace out, everyone. We'll see you next time.